Anyone who had projected that Dodge would take a back seat and let the Ford Mustang to dominate the market for muscle automobiles would have made a decision that was not just incorrect, but entirely erroneous. This is because the Ford Mustang would have been able to dominate the market. In this case, the decision that would have been made would have been totally and entirely erroneous. To put it another way, this would have been an example of a judgment that would have been erroneous. If, in the case that you had been acting on the basis of these assumptions, you would have been entirely and utterly incorrect in your assumptions. In the event that you had presented such a statement, you would have been totally and entirely wrong. The Ford Mustang is the automobile that is currently available for purchase on the market that is getting the most attention from customers. This is the case at this very moment. When it comes to automobiles that are categorized as muscle cars, it is of utmost importance to keep this in mind. At this very moment, this occurs to be the circumstance that is going place at the present moment. You will be required to assess the routines that you have been continuing to follow up until this point in time, because this is the car that you will be driving. Your vehicle of choice will be the 2026 Dodge Charger Daytona. You will be obliged to drive at all times. Because of this, you will be asked to acknowledge that you have been adhering to the routines that you have been following up to this point in time. This is a consequence of the fact that you have been following these guidelines. This is because the automobile will require you to review the routines that you have been sticking to up to this point in time. This requires you to evaluate the procedures that you have been following. This phenomena is occurring due to the fact that the 2026 Dodge Charger Daytona is the vehicle that will require you to investigate the routines. This is the reason why this phenomenon is occurring. The occurrence of this phenomenon can be attributed to this particular reason. The Dodge Corporation made the choice in the year 2023 to stop producing both the Challenger, which had 2 doors, and the Charger, which had 4 doors. Both of these automobiles were primarily manufactured in the United States. Following the cessation of production of both of these automobiles, neither of them were manufactured any longer. This conclusion was arrived at in relation to the matter as a consequence of the fact that both models had been taken off the market. The Dodge Corporation, which was the firm that was responsible for the creation of both of these automobiles, was the manufacturer of both of them during the specific dates that they were developed. Both of these automobiles were produced by the Dodge Corporation. As soon as the conclusion of a decision to stop producing both of these automobiles has been reached, the production of both automobiles will no longer be carried out. This is done in order to ensure that the decision may be fully implemented. On the other hand, the Challenger was the only vehicle that had 2 doors, in contrast to the Charger, which had 4 doors that were available for usage. Within the Charger, on the other hand, there were a significant number of doors located throughout the interior. It is of the utmost importance to emphasize the fact that the Charger and the Challenger cannot be converted into one another. Among the many important topics that must be addressed, this is one of the most important ones. Regarding the Charger, on the other hand, it will continue to uphold the performance DNA that has frequently been connected with the brand. Throughout its history, this DNA has been associated with the Charger at various points in time. For the foreseeable future, this is something that will continue to exist in the status that it is currently in. The Charger is anticipated to be ready for production in the year 2026, according to the calculations that have been carried out in the past. This is the projection that has been made for the purpose of the future. This is the model that has been developed. At some point in the future, this is going to be the situation that prevails in order to complete the charging process. This is something that will be moved from the Charger to the station where it will be charged. There, it will be charged. The procedure of charging will include this step, which will be carried out. The process of charging will be applied to this item, which is another way of stating it. This is something that will be submitted to the procedure. There are a few features that we would want to see included in the Charger that will be built in the year 2026 according to our preferences. These specifications ought to be incorporated into the automobile. The introduction of some of these features into the automobile is one of the things that we would want to see included in the product. We would consider it a desirable inclusion if we were to take into account our perspective, the following. are the qualities that we would regard to be beautiful in a person who is actively sought after.